Yo, 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 what's going on, y'all? You tune into a new episode of the Dad Podcast. As you see, we don't have our brothers with us, but this is a special segment. Me and my boy Q, first off, we want you to like and subscribe. We got a lot of good content coming your way, so be sure to tune in. Introduce my guy Q.
All right. So we're two dads from two different backgrounds, and I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, in the suburb of Worthington, and moved out to California to Irvine, another suburb. Lived in Asia in some cities in Fukuoka in Japan and Saigon in Vietnam, but I don't think it's the same as like the cities we have in America or the inner cities. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
where you've been teaching me about. a
Right,
bit.
right,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, man. We just, we two fathers. We both landed in the field of mental health, but we got two different backgrounds. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about mine. Like I grew up in Compton. I lived in Compton until I was like in the 5th grade, and from there I had like moved to Paramount, but both of my grandmas stayed in Compton, so that's where I kind of like that's where my base was. I used to always feel comfortable in that home, around there. And then went to school in Long Beach. Most of my high schools and middle schools were in Long Beach, but home was, in the city of Compton, so in the inner city. So
Yeah.
you're from like the suburbs, right?
The
Can you tell us a little bit
yeah.
about that, your experience in the
Oh
suburbs?
man, it's just like kids with a whole lot of money and no responsibility. So
Yeah.
a lot of drugs, a lot of like, reckless behavior. I mentioned my car accident in the last episode I
Oh
was
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
Just speed driving. We had money with nothing to do.
Right. So you had a car when you was in high school?
Yeah, but right when I turned 16, my dad got me a car,
Got you
the
a car?
'96 Honda Civic.
A 96
stick
Honda
shift.
Civic?
Yeah.
Man, that's
So
dope, man.
and it was just like standard. And in our school, Northwood High School, it was like
Mhm.
the student parking lot was nicer than the teacher's parking lot.
Oh wow.
You got Beamers, Mercedes, and that's Irvine.
Damn.
Like
That's pretty dope, man.
yeah, so it's
That's pretty
different
dope.
life.
Yeah, I think I got my first car. I was in the 12th grade. I was driving around that time. I drive my mom car like 10th grade, 11th grade, but I got my first car when I was in the 12th grade, like as a right before school started. My grandma took me to go get a car, but yeah, man. But you got yours at like what's that, 16?
16,
10th grade or 11th grade?
10th grade, yeah.
10th
So
grade?
10th
Oh
grade, I
man,
was ready to
I
go.
couldn't imagine
yeah.
driving to school every day with my own car in the
Yeah.
10th grade, man. It would have been it would have been wow. I probably would have skipped some days, bro, for sure.
I mean, that's what we were doing.
That's what you were
We
doing?
got in an accident. We were skipping school.
Yeah,
We
man.
had to open campus and everything. and,
Yeah. Man, that's what's up, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just but growing up in Compton, it was a beautiful situation because both my parents were born and raised in Compton, and then they were, they had me, and then I was just basically just picked up where they left off, and I had a lot of friends. I had a great life. I know the stigma about Compton is like, oh, it's a bad area, it's the worst. It ain't, and it kind of comes with it, but that was home. That was home to me. So that's where I feel most comfortable at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as far as you're in the suburbs, and you have the ability to basically have the world at your fingertips because you guys had the money. Where we were in a situation where we was just surviving. At that age. You know what I mean? So pretty dope, bro.
Yeah. It's just a trip, like, and just like how we landed in the same profession.
Yeah, how we landed in the same profession,
Even though we
man.
came from such different backgrounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, man. But yeah, what came along with that, which we wanted to talk about, is we're gonna focus a lot on mental health. You know what I mean? And our background and what led us to the field that we're in. As far as me growing up in the inner city, it was like a lot of trauma, a little bit. The surrounding violence that I exposed to at an early age, and I think that probably led me to my path to want to address the mental health that was lacking in our community.
Yeah.
And
I just because like this is still fresh for me, like we've been talking, obviously we've experienced some recent deaths, and you've had a lot more experience than me. Like, I mean, I'll just share my little experience. This is kind of the closest death that I've had since my grandparents was kind of expected, and we spoke different languages. But with this was like this girl, Christina. I knew her since the 8th grade, like 22 years ago. Like, I met her when I first moved from Ohio to California. My first friend in California introduced me to her, and I was like kind of crushing on her. And in 10th grade, like we're starting to get together, and You know, they meet up in the movie theaters making out. When I try to get to second base and like she just feels uncomfortable, makes me
Yeah.
take her home and stuff. I'm like, fuck. You know?
Right.
And you know, we don't talk for a few years, but we end up connecting after college. And you know, I'm like talking to her, like keeping in touch, going to Japan, going to Vietnam. She's in full support of my relationship with my wife.
Mhm.
We have kids born the same year. They all meet and
Oh,
stuff. You
wow.
know, we're really tight. And you know, I would talk to her about her depression. Like she had postpartum depression. She wanted to kill herself and take her kid with her when she first had the baby.
Wow.
And the
Wow.
husband said, "Kill yourself, but don't keep the kid with me."
Oh, wow.
It was that kind of attitude, like
Wow.
mental health, like I guess in their culture, and my culture too, like mental health is not accepted, and
Mhm.
it's like it's hush hush. It decreases your status, so you got to keep it hush hush, you know.
Right. Right.
And she was sort of like almost like a economic hostage because the husband's parents had bought their house for them, and
Mhm.
also the smock shop that the husband ran. So all the income was due to the parents. So the husband would always take the parents' side, and they were
Wow.
pretty old school traditional. So she never got the mental health help she needed.
Right.
And basically, what happened was, I mean, she got COVID, and fell into a depression.
Mhm.
And you know, the husband never locked up the guns in the house or anything. And
Right. How recently was
this happened April 15th just of
2022?
this year, but I just found out June 4th because they kept the funeral really
Oh,
hush hush and
wow.
like
Wow.
under the table. Like even the husband's own cousin didn't know that Christina had died.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and this was, you know, like I wasn't there when that happened. I didn't go to the funeral.
Mhm.
You know, we were on the peripheries of each other's lives. You know, we kept in
Right.
touch and everything, and it's still like affected me so much.
Mhm.
And you know, we've been talking some of your stories and stuff, and
But you were you
you
were
were
s- you were telling me, sorry to cut you off, but you were
the,
telling me that she she experienced that too, with her father committing suicide, right?
it's just a really tragic story. Like her, the the day before her 15th birthday, her father committed suicide,
Wow.
and yeah, she even like she wrote this post where she explained it, like how her father committed suicide, and you know it was really hard. She fell into depression, but she got out of it. And you just need love. You just need love
Mhm.
to persevere. And it's sad reading that after her death.
Right. Do you feel like that probably was her? She felt like that was maybe her destiny or her goal or something like that.
That's how I have to. That's the only way I can put
Yeah.
it in my mind to
Right.
say it's all right and not like grieve so much and freak out about it and like
Mhm.
worry about it so much. I have to tell myself she was on that path. There was, cause I hit her up. I texted her 4 days before the death, April
Oh
11th,
shit.
said text read. And,
Oh wow.
and I was like, and I texted 10 days after, but then she was
Yeah.
dead by then.
Wow. Wow.
I said,
So you
hey,
was just
long
checking in
time.
with her?
Yeah. Hey, long time, no talk.
Mhm.
Hey, how have you been?
No response.
And like part of me is like saying like, oh, why didn't you call and stuff?
Right.
But then I talked to her best friend of 17 years that went to the funeral and had a lot of information. And he was saying, you know, like her friends were going over to her house and, you know, the blinds were all closed. She was like skinny, not showering and, you know, like arms crossed, like answering questions. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Like, so, even if I did call her, I couldn't have reached her, you know,
Wow.
like, so
Right.
that's why I have to tell myself, you know,
Mhm.
otherwise you know, I beat myself up. Like, why didn't I try to call her? Why I try to do something?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm just,
Yeah, man. We're
yeah.
here for you though,
Yeah,
man.
but I'm
We're
just
here
like
for you.
over this. I'm like, so that's why I'm just trying to imagine
Yeah.
what you've been through.
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause
man.
you're like
Yeah. I'm going through
veteran.
I'm actually just left my one of my closest friends, one of my best friends, funeral yesterday. We just laid him to rest, and he was 33 years old. My boy Larry Love. We talked about him on the a few episodes ago on the on the Dad podcast. But yeah, this is a guy that I've known since I was 5 years old. We've grew up
Yeah.
together, and just to have it, he was murdered. Like a great dude, no gang affiliation. It's just kind of like the environment that we was in, where or we are in, that it's just a constant. Like we never know when we're gonna go. We never
Yeah.
know, what's gonna be, who's gonna be next or whatever. And it's terrible living like that. Like you just don't know when the last time you're gonna talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So that's why I learned from that. I try to value all my friendships, value
Mm.
every relationship that I have, because from my experience, it's been we don't know when it's gonna be the last time we talk. We don't know when it's gonna be the last time I'm able to experience this this situation or our relationship. So yeah, man, that's what he came to my birthday, April 1st, and that was kind of like the last time I seen him. I mean, I was talking to him, we text all the
Yeah.
time. He was just in Paris, send me pictures, showing walking me around Paris. Like, man, I'm in Paris. He go to the Eiffel Tower, and I'm like,
Living
bro,
it
you just
up.
took me on the whole tour of Paris. Now we got to go somewhere when you get back in town. 2 weeks later, he gunned down, murdered, and there's the suspect or whoever did it is still like just walking the streets and
Was at large, so
yeah, it's at large. So we really don't know much information, but
yeah.
part of that process is just like we go through so many emotions as we grieve. Like I'm in that state right now where I'm grieving, but some people grieve differently. Some people grieve with like a stage of your grievance may be like retaliation or like
Mm.
wanting to revenge. And
Vengeance.
I've been in that stage, or I've been in that stage several times about the experiences that I felt with the many losses that I've experienced in my life, bro. Because I remember you was telling me like you've only been to like 2 funerals or something like that.
Yeah, actually, just one
Just
funeral.
one funeral.
My wife's grandpa. Since I didn't hear about this funeral,
Yeah, man. It's just I think I
yeah,
think I've been to like no lie, probably like to 40 funerals in my life.
40.
Probably like 40
Yeah,
funerals, and
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of them
Sweet.
were my peers,
Yeah,
like
that's the trippy
people that
part.
I've grown up with, and I could take you back to actually one of my
40.
first experiences with that was with my friend DJ. We were 16 years old. His name was Daryl Tucker, and a lot of us were affected. Like all of his friends and people we went to school with, we were all affected by that, bro. He was like here one day at school. We were 16, like in the maybe 10th grade, 11th grade, and one day we here at school. He actually sat next to me in class, and one day we hanging out all day at school. Like that day, the day that he died, he was really kicking it with us for the whole lunch period. And he'll go his separate way, I go my separate way, and not knowing that's the last time I'm gonna see him. And then we had class together the next day. So I'm like, we getting a call like, yeah, yeah, he got killed. Daryl got killed like after school. This is after school. So the next day at school, I'm like, I'm thinking like he gonna show up to class or whatever. But I'm in class, the teacher passing out the notebooks. Never, he didn't come to class. He sit right next to me in class. I'm looking at his notebook. We do it like the little classwork exercise or whatever before class start or right when class starts. He never showed up. I was waiting for like 5. I'm like, he gonna walk through the door. He never did.
Yeah.
And that situation kind of like that shit was an eye opener, bro. I was hurt. I was hurt. That was the first time like I had a real close peer like taken away, not knowing that I'm gonna experience this time after again as I get older. Because I was 16 at the time, like 16,
16 was the
17.
first.
Yeah,
I'm like
bro.
35 and I
Now I'm
experienced it the
35.
first time.
35.
Yeah.
I'm 34, but
No,
I've experienced it time and time again. But you're
yeah.
35 and you're
The first time I
yeah,
experienced a peer
right, man. So
dying. Yeah, it's crazy. Like the neighborhoods we grew up in.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
man.
the same country,
And
but
the thing was at that time, well, I was still young, but I didn't really know much about therapy, mental health, none of that. So they may have offered it to the school, but I didn't really probably didn't even think I needed it or accepted it or even knew what it was. So it was just like you grieve, you seek vengeance, you get in that cycle, and it's the cycle that's just gonna continue to. I think that's what the cycle that we're in.
yeah,
Everybody, especially in the inner city, people are getting killed, getting murdered, and the way people are grieving with it is going back and retaliating.
mm,
They're going back and looking for whoever that's out to get some vengeance, and that may
yeah,
be how they cope with it. But it's just
yeah,
a cycle. It's just like a toxic cycle that's gonna lead us to nowhere. It's really not gonna lead us nowhere,
yeah.
but more heartache, more
Mhm.
more trauma to the next family.
Would there have been a way for a therapist to like sell you on therapy at that time when you were 16 years old?
At
After that,
16,
like, is there anything a therapist could have said to you that,
maybe
like,
if I was more aware of what therapy was or the benefits of it, like I didn't know what it was.
but like me as a therapist, like coming to you as a 16-year-old, is there something I like? Hey, trust me, like,
I feel like you
would
could
I
have told. I
appreciate?
feel like you could have explained the benefits of it, but at me being at 16, I probably wouldn't have accepted. But I think if you would have continue to reach out to me maybe over time,
Be consistent.
be consistent with me, I probably would have gave it a try after a while, but definitely not the first, second, third, fourth try. I'm gonna kick it to the curb. Like I don't
Expect
need that. Yeah,
resistance.
yeah. So that's that's probably what I would have done during that time if I was offered, therapy. If I was offered it, but I kind of wasn't.
Yeah.
I kind of wasn't at the time. So it was like you continue just live going with your life. Like damn, that's fucked up that my friend is dead. We got to go to his funeral. We got to bury him. We sit and talk with his mom. Like the next day, we sit and talk with his mom, and like me and my friends, we just like bawled crying. Like we just lost a homeboy that he didn't even get to graduate high school. Like he didn't even
So
get to
young.
graduate with us.
Yeah.
So, and it was like life goes on. We just continue living, and then without really addressing that, and it's kind of like messed a lot of people up. I think for sure. I know it messed me up. I'm like, damn man, I was messed up.
You guys just dealt with it on your own.
Just
like,
dealt with it on their own.
There's no, even like family, like talking. You just
never really
keep
talked
it
to
in.
family about it.
Just
Never
keep it
really
in.
addressed it, and then it just just going with your life, really.
Yeah.
And that's the first one. I mean, that's the first
That's the
real
first-
close experience, man. And then we still got to live our everyday life. We still got to finish school, try to graduate, try to make something of ourselves. But at the end of the day, man, we still lost a really close friend that we never processed.
Yeah.
And that's baggage that we holding that we don't even realize it. I realize it now that I'm older, but I'm like, I had this anger in me, I had this resentment in me, and it just been there, to the fact where I was willing to sacrifice my life for it and just go out and retaliate, for years. I was in that space, but now that I'm older, I'm not really in that space anymore.
You were just thinking, or did you ever act upon it?
I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say that. I can't. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask how you controlled it.
Yeah, man. I just I've been in situations where I've not gone through with it, and there's been situations where I kind of went with my first mind and made stupid decisions that I probably could have processed after, So, but I mean, after I did it, I'm like, damn, I probably shouldn't have did that.
Remorse.
But, the remorse that we have, just continuing the cycle,
Yeah.
So, yeah, bro. But tell me, what about your experience with I know you told us about the time that you experienced. When you were driving your friend. How was you when you were 16? How did you approach? Were you 16, right?
17.
17.
Right there. Yeah.
Were you approached with therapy? How did you accept it?
It was because I think maybe there's a difference between communities, but there's also a generational thing where just back then mental health wasn't a big thing. Like I remember I got like a mental health test, and it was just like some memory test. Like the psychologist gave me some numbers to repeat and stuff, and I like, all right. And I think they offered it if I wanted to talk therapy, and I was just like, no, because I was dealing with a lot of guilt and shame, because my friends were worse off than I was. So I was like,
Right.
I don't even deserve the help. I didn't want the help.
Did one of them pass away?
One friend was in a coma and had traumatic brain injury. So, I mean, and he's recovered, but it's
just knowing that
life changing. Yeah,
life changing. Yeah, man.
There's all of us life changing. But,
Right.
But it's interesting. It's both trauma, but with mine, there's the guilt and shame since I had caused it, and then with yours, there's like the vengeance, the wanting to retaliate.
Right. I have another experience too. It's like so that happened with my boy Daryl. That was when I was in the 10th grade. But like right after high school, I really witnessed it firsthand. A murder of a close friend, was there.
You were like right there.
I was right there and seen it. It could have been me, could have been my next friend that was with me. It was just like a regular day, man. It was just like a regular day for us. It was like summertime. We just had graduated, 18 years old, just ready for the world. You know what I mean? Just ready to experience life without school and without being under our parents' supervision all the time. Because we felt like we was grown, but we were still kids. But yeah, man. I had one of my close friends, his older brother. He probably like 4 years older than us. We were 18. He might have been 21, 22, just about to turn 22. And we go to his house. I can remember this day like yesterday, bro. We like it. We went to his house because we were going out. We were all like going out, but he kind of like knew that he couldn't go out, but he just wanted us to come through and try to convince his mom, like, hey, he could go out with us. We was just going out on the town, just having a good time.
Yeah.
But then when we get there, I know it's kind of like tension in the neighborhood that he's in. So we kind of like we're aware of it. So we like tried to move to avoid the interactions with the people in the neighborhood because they had, I think somebody over there got shot or something like that, and we kind of like tried to avoid it.
Mhm.
So like when I drove over there, I was with my another close friend. We drove over there. We parked like in the back, so we wouldn't have to run into nobody while we were looking for a park in the front. So we
Yeah.
park in the back alley just to go straight to his house. It was only a
Yeah.
few feet away.
No
And so
interaction. Yeah.
we ran into his brother. His brother was sitting outside. It was smoking. They were just chilling, talking. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, man, we about to pick up my boy and we about to head out. He like, moms ain't letting him go nowhere. I don't even know why y'all came through here. So I'm like, he told us he could go. That's why we here to go out, go hang out. Probably have some girls or something. And we went to the house and his mom's like, nah, he can't go. Y'all go ahead and go. Leave your boy. He in the
Yeah.
house. I don't know. He probably was in trouble or something. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, we end up leaving. And we were like went down the street at our other friend's house, and we seen some guys walking past, and we there was with some girls. We kind of like eyed the girls a little bit. We didn't think nothing of it. We was like right down the street from where it happened. We got in
Yeah.
my car, went around the corner, and then we were trying to just avoid the situation because we didn't want to. Like we was all athletes. We was all football players. We were all in college or we're headed to college.
Yeah.
And we just tried to avoid situations like that. We didn't want to, because we seen it played out time and time again, losing friends, getting into fights. That's what we was kind of like getting into. So yeah, man. We get a call from him like, yeah, the guys that y'all was kind of like looking at, they said y'all was like mad dogging them or something like, like eyeing them. And we're like, nah, we were just, we glanced at the girls they was with, and just kept it moving. And we knew the guys personally. Like we used to play basketball together and all that. We knew the guys personally, but I guess since they were a part of the gang now, and they felt like they gotta, live up to that name. So it went through one thing led to another. We went back over there. They wanted to fight. And we're like, okay, well, who you want to fight? We don't want to fight y'all. We don't have no problem with y'all. But they like, they just picked out who they wanted to fight. And we're like, all right, well, y'all just handle y'all issue. Whoever you got an issue with, just handle it. Y'all, just let it a fair fight. You two fight. Whoever win, whoever lose, let it be that. And then that was the plan. Like, okay, well, he picked out who he wanted to fight, and we're like, all right, cool. We're not gonna jump in. Y'all not gonna jump in. But one thing led to another. The guy he picked out ended up punching them and getting the best of them. They all jumped in. We jumped in. It was like 4 of us. It was like probably like 10 of them, and we not knowing. We all fighting, and we not knowing that one of them got a gun on him, right? And so eventually, and my friend Moms comes outside. We calling the police. Y'all stop fighting.
Yeah.
Everybody in the neighborhood is outside now. We all looking at it. Everybody's outside
Like a
now.
rumble,
It's like a
14
big
of us,
rumble,
yeah.
yeah. And it's like fair though, because we're kind of like stronger and
Like
we're
the football
really
players,
yeah. But we
ready
get
to go.
yeah, man. So one thing led to another. We try to pull everybody in the house. Police are supposedly on the way. And then her the older brother is still outside. I put all my friends in the house, or the brother's still outside. We were headed back out to get him. Like, let's all go in the house because we already got the best of him already. When a guy pulls out a gun right in front of his mom and just shoots him. Shoots him right.
It was in front of his
mother was right there. His mom was right there, and she said, "Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot my son," right in front of him. And dude just fired, and then and we all right there. We all
shooting to kill, like in the
shoot
head.
Yeah, no, not in the head. He shot him in like the chest. But I'm looking at it from the alleyway, looking at him because I'm headed out to get him to bring him back in the house, and I see it. And then we bring him in the house, and we trying to. But I'm froze, like I'm stuck.
You picked him up after
I didn't pick him up. His brother picked him up, and they drag him in the house. Ambulance supposed to be on the way, and they just trying to keep him alive. And he's like 21 years old, and they giving him like life-saving care, life sessions, like pumping his chest, mouth to mouth, and he's just like fading away, like right in front of us, like right in front of us, bro. And then ambulance eventually come, he goes away. Then we get the call like he ain't make it. He ain't make it, bro. And like after that situation, it was like we never really, even with that, we never got. We just kind of like we had the vengeance. We went through the same stages. We retaliated, or
Because you knew exactly who they were.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we thought about retaliating, um, and stuff like that, man. And but we never got the therapy or trauma that
Yeah.
I mean, never. It was
Yeah.
just like that shit happened, and we just went on with our lives. Like, you know, I mean, not went on with our lives, but we were hurt when we dealt with it the best way we knew how, because I don't know, just how it was. No
Yeah.
therapy, no processing, no none of that. And we all 18 years old and just ready to experience the world, but we just had this
Yeah.
tragic life changing experience without no support really, no emotional support really, but ourselves. What we
Yeah.
do, we would drink, people smoke or whatever.
Self
Yeah,
medicate.
self
Yeah.
medicate, but we didn't have no type of like professional help or support.
Yeah.
And it's and that was when I was 18, and none of my friends really got it. We all was affected by it. Like my other friend got shot like 3 people got shot during that time. When my friend got grazed, he just started firing. Dude got shot in his arm. We was all right there.
Yeah.
But end of the day, he ended up getting, you know, prosecuted and went to jail and all that. But that didn't kind of make that didn't help our experience.
It wasn't justice.
It was
Because
justice was served, I guess, but
but it
we
doesn't bring your
still got,
friend back.
yeah, it don't
Yeah.
bring them back, and we still gotta live our life every day affected
Mm-hmm.
by that. And that yeah, bro, that kind of like that changed our whole view on life, you know,
Yeah.
all of us. And yeah, bro, it's crazy. I went that long. I really don't talk about it much because it's like we we kind of like kick it to the curb. Like it happened, we all like I probably ain't been the same since that happened. Like I probably just changed. I probably would have been a totally different type of had a different mannerism and just I was kind of like coming into my own during that time. But
Mm-hmm.
that trauma kind of like I'm like it kind of changed me for I don't know if it was the better or the worse. You know,
Do you think, like, because you were talking about, there wasn't mental health services or anything that you guys probably needed. Do
nobody
you think
did.
that like
Yeah,
inspired you
that
on your
kind of
path?
like inspired me because like if we was able to I feel like if we was able to really talk about that with somebody, really talk about how we felt about it and kind of like address how we was feeling, that might have helped us, you know?
Yeah.
It might have helped. Now that I look back on it, I might have helped. Cause I know my friends, man, we all dealing with it in our own way. But we all got that connection. That's probably like a bond. It's kind of like they got trauma bond that people have.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what it was. Like, cause these are dudes that I'd experience a life and death situation with. And like some people be like, yeah, I've been through a lot with this person. But my bonds that I have with my friends is through maybe this trauma bonding,
Yeah.
because we all went through that. We all processed it because all we had was because we all saw it. So all we had was
Yeah.
each other. We didn't have no other outlet. But even with it within us, we kind of really didn't talk about it.
Oh, and even amongst yourselves,
Nah, we really didn't. We didn't want to like.
you just know.
We knew what happened, but we didn't really. I don't know if we didn't want to go in or even knew how to like go inside and introspect, look inside of ourselves,
Mm.
identify how we feel.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, but I feel like if we was presented with that mental health accessibility, we that might have helped us out, and that kind of like changed my trajectory. I wanted now. I'm like now as I got older, if I was in college, I'm like, damn, what if somebody that probably because I know it's happening all the time. Like a lot of people are experiencing these type of traumas in the inner city,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not getting the therapy. They're not
Yeah.
processing it.
And it's not only that the accessibility, like mental health services. We were talking about the distrust
Yeah,
between mental health services and the community, like
right,
in regards
right.
to like mandated reporting,
Right, all
like
that the mandated reporting, like, cause
it's
I've
over reporting
it's
something. Yeah.
over reporting,
Yeah.
so and it's a lack of trust. It's because I'm recently, I'm 34. I just turned 34, but like I'm recently seeking out. Now I'm seeking out therapy, like just to address those past traumas in my life that I
Yeah.
never really processed, that I still affect me to this day.
16 years on
It's
your own.
16 years just on my own,
Yeah.
dealing with it. I had different outlets, positive outlet. Like I found coping skills. Like I was playing sports that helped me. I used to, I was in school, staying focused, trying to earn goals and get stuff accomplished. Those was kind of like my outlets, but I never really had no professional type of, you know, outlet or trust or a different perspective to like, how did you feel then or what makes you think, whatever a therapist does. I feel like that's kind of like what changed my trajectory in life. Where I'm like, damn, it might be a guy, a teenager that may some mental health services could probably help. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like help them later on in life or during the time that whatever happens. So that kind of like that's focused me like, all right, you know what, I wanna help those that probably need mental health services.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
like it's like making like trying to sell mental health services
Yeah,
to those affected.
right. And then I
Like
have to
changing it up.
yeah, and then and the kids I work with or was working with, like I was able to relate with a lot of them because I'm like I had that same type of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the same community. I've been in the same, where you gotta choose what's your path. You want to game bang, you want to play sports, you want to go slide on get some vengeance. I've been in all those situations,
Yeah.
and I feel like me being able to relate to them, you know, and give them another perspective, kind of like benefit them. I'm
Yeah.
trying to like serve the younger
Yeah.
generation.
Like you want because I know like right now you work with adults.
Hmm.
What are you're thinking about trying to get
Ultimately,
into
yeah, I want to get back
adolescents?
to working with
Oh
the youth.
yeah.
Because it's good. One person, if I able to change one person's path, that means a lot. Because actually was working with teenagers. They call um, at risk youth, so they're at risk
Yeah.
of gangs, at risk of going to jail, and a lot of them just follow through that path. Like I tried the best that I could, you know, giving them coping skills and learn
Yeah.
teaching them how to process and not move so impulsively.
Yeah.
But a lot of them kind of like ended up in the path that they were kind of trying to avoid these systems that they put in place. Because there's situations out there where they do have programs for kids that are headed down that same path,
Yeah.
but I don't know how effective they really are.
You can be kind of strict, like one little mess up and you're like out of the
Yeah,
program or
yeah,
something, or
yeah, man.
curfews,
Yeah, man. So I think
or
what I think in our community,
regulation.
well, my community, just the accessibility to the mental health service, and letting it
Yeah.
be more of a norm in schools and in colleges and just in the community, like you were saying, like a group session
Yeah.
and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I was saying with like the shootings and stuff, like that trauma bond, having
Hmm.
that group with one therapist. Because I was hearing like, having that one-on-one therapy, it's like there's a lot of distrust because it's like, oh, what are you trying to influence me on,
Hmm.
But if there's the group and you outnumber the therapist, then it's like,
Right,
hey, he's playing fair or
right. Because
something.
with the mistrust, um, I I've tried therapy where when I've been in sessions where they'll ask a child or something, what are some traumatic experiences that you and you're trying to build trust with the therapist during this time, but
Yeah.
you say, what, I experienced my mom and my dad fight, or so now boom, they're mandated reporters. Write that down. Now you got to open DCFS case, so that just breaks the trust that you might have
Mm-hmm.
could have built with your therapist or whoever's providing the services with you. That whole system is kind of like that might be, that's maybe one of the issues of the lack of trust, where people are
Yeah.
trying to avoid. Nobody wants to have more where situation where now we got to split the family up because there's domestic violence in place, where we were just trying to get therapy for our kid because they're for whatever reason,
Yeah. Because
so
I mean, I understand the intention behind it, avoiding the abuse and
yeah,
everything with great
right,
intention, but
definitely.
it's just like so extreme right now. It's like any little thing, like I even remember they made me call CPS because a family didn't show up to a therapy session,
Hmm.
and like the child was high risk,
Hmm.
and they just said they wanted to reschedule, but They said because they didn't show up, I had to call CPS that it was neglect, that they weren't following through on the hospital discharge plan.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, can we? They said they reschedule.
Right, right, right. Damn. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So with you being a therapist, like say you remember you were telling yourself that it was you were dealing with trust. I mean, you were dealing with guilt at that age, and you being a therapist now. What is something that you would have told your younger self at that age of 17, 16, 17 when it happened,
Oh
just
man.
to help yourself during that time?
And going back then, it's just like as you grow older, like people don't care, people forget.
Mm,
Even right now, people aren't probably thinking about you. You know, it's like you're creating it yourself.
mm,
You're thinking like everyone's hating on you. You're thinking you're the piece of shit. But as you grow older, you'll see like people don't really care. It's just about you and what you think about yourself.
right.
I just found out like I thought everyone was hating on me, but I found out the biggest hater was myself.
Mm,
I was hating on myself the most, and that is keeping me down.
mm,
I mean, still like over the years, I'm still working on it, like
right.
trying to like resolve it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like what you do as a kid to yourself, dealing with trauma. I mean, it sounds like you were self taught and you were able to find a way through it.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of other people
You
don't
know,
find
right.
the way. You know, and they end up on different paths. You
Right.
know.
Right. So if you were, say, a younger me, a 18-year-old me, as you being a therapist, me just experiencing something like that, what is something you could tell or somebody that probably is going through that right now, 18-year-old just witnessed some traumatic
Yeah.
experience. What can you tell that young, what like the 18-year-old me? What would you be able to tell me that
And
could help me?
that's actually why I wanted to be on this podcast to learn, because I'm dealing with this death for the first time, this close death, and it's like
Mm,
it's just it's really hard. And like, I mean, that's all I could do probably is just validate the experience, you know,
mm,
just like, dude, like that's terrible, it's
mm,
traumatic. Like, how are you feeling? You know,
mm,
I wouldn't want to say like, oh, you should do this or you should try this. Like,
right.
I just want to listen. I just listen. I just be there wherever you were at. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so what do you want to talk about? You know.
Right, right. And do you take your say you being a therapist, do you take your own advice sometimes? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
like it'll be in session. I'll be saying something that they should like that I'm suggesting or like it's therapeutic, and
Hmm.
then I'll realize while I'm saying it like, oh, I don't do that,
Wow.
because I'm all about authenticity and like being real with my clients. So
Hmm.
I'll realize inside like, oh, I don't do that with my wife or something with
Right,
my family, you know.
right, right.
So I'll realize it and become aware of it. But yeah, there have been instances where I'm saying something, I'm like, I don't practice that.
All right.
Like I probably got to
Right, I feel
start
you.
practicing.
I feel
So
you,
yeah,
man.
being in therapy is like really been healing for myself. You know,
Oh, that's what's up.
like, they talk about healing others, but
It's really
I found like
it's
I've
helping
been
you
able to
out as
heal.
well. Wow. It's pretty dope. And do you say do you practice some of your strategies with your wife and kids? Like some of your therapeutic strategies? So find
Yeah,
yourself kind of
yeah,
like
like
doing that?
yeah, like the big things with emotions, like you know, showing emotions and being real with your emotions, and like like, like our family dog just died, and I just saw at 35 years old my dad cry for the
Wow.
first time.
You just saw him after 35 years. You just
Yeah,
now seeing him.
but my daughter, like my wife had this ruptured ectopic pregnancy where the baby goes into the fallopian tube and causes massive internal bleeding, need
Oh
blood
wow.
transfusion. She almost died. You know, like they wouldn't allow me in the ambulance because COVID, so I had to chase the ambulance, like
Damn.
running the red lights and everything. And you know, like I didn't know what was happening for the whole day, like 6 hours. You know, like operating rooms,
Hmm.
surgeries, and everything. And I finally found out she was okay and like she was sleeping, and I was just there with my daughter, you know, and you know, I was trying to hold it all together, you know, like it's all good.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, man. It's like,
Right.
you
Right.
know, I just let it out and I cried in front of my daughter, and you know,
Wow.
she was just 7 or 8,
7
you
or
know,
8. So
and I
that's
was 35. So
right. That's the difference in
yeah,
dynamics of what I mean. You trying to change that that avenue for your family, like expressing yourself.
yeah.
It's
'Cause if you
okay.
hold it in, then it comes out sideways, and it's not so good. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. So that's pretty insightful though. I feel like our community, both of our communities, probably needs the mental health services and people to follow through and just making it maybe a different way of doing it. Where we saying like a a coach or like a life coach or something like that? Or
Oh yeah, because like life coaches kind of like operate like as therapists almost, but they're not beholden to the
to that
licensing board,
structure,
the
yeah,
BBS and all that.
because they're mandated. Like the BBS, make sure that you're a
Maybe a
mandated
reporter
reporter.
as an
So
AMFT or
you,
LMFT. Yeah,
so a life coach, you could probably build that relationship a little better because you're not under those rules
yeah,
of mandated reporting or just trying to figure out a way to help the family without being like, okay,
yeah,
well, I got to report this, I got to report this. You're just really trying to be there to support the
yeah.
family.
And when, like, because with these I mean, we have a 12-page assessment. I was saying,
Mm,
and like so basically the first session we're just investigating what the what's happening,
right.
what happened in their life, what happened in their past,
Mm-hmm.
and just like I would feel like I mean, we were working in Orange County, so we don't have as many black families, but I feel like it'd be so suspicious.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah.
asking you all these
All
questions
these
about your
questions. The first
history.
time I'm meeting you,
Yeah,
like, nah, I don't want to. I don't
yeah,
even know you like that. Like to be open up to you. So yeah, I understand
yeah,
definitely, bro. But we were talking about because a lot of things we're going to talk about is because we're both in the field of mental health,
yeah.
and then we were talking about this upcoming this new album that just dropped,
Mm,
Kendrick Lamar album, and
Mr.
you
Morale. Yeah.
right, Mr.
Oh
Morale,
man,
man, the big stepper. So you had a
May 13th. Yeah, it came
yeah, it came
out.
came out May 13th, man, and you told me that you had an interesting perspective of it, and like as far as the mental health piece, because it seemed like you're going through that process as therapy, and
Yeah,
you're in that space right now. You know about the benefits of it, and
yeah.
tell me how you feel about that album.
Yeah, just because with Kendrick, I got into him, Good Kid, Mad City. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about Compton.
Right,
Then with To Pimp a Butterfly, he's talking about the Black experience.
right.
Then with Damn is more the Christian background.
Mm-hmm.
Loved all the albums, but it's kind of foreign to me.
Right,
Like I'm
because you're
not
not really
black, I'm
from
not
that
Christian,
background.
I'm
Yeah.
not from Compton. But then with this, he's talking about getting therapy, being introspective, dealing with infidelities. Like
Mm,
these are all,
right.
sorry, but these are all, she knows. But these are all things like I was dealing with, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like, do this, like, and then, I had mad respect for him already, from that background where he's coming from, and then to be on the same path as me, it was like,
Right.
so it made me feel like my path was even more righteous than I originally thought,
Mm.
because it's like a universal path that people from all walks of life
Could
can come
come.
to.
Could come. Yeah, he might have connected with a whole different audience, a whole different crowd of people that, like you said, weren't able to. They'd never experienced the stuff that I probably just talked about. He talked about that in his rap songs and all that, but the mental health aspect is like something that anybody can relate to because
Yeah.
everybody's going through trauma. Not just because I'm in a where I grew up. That's not just everybody's experiencing
Yeah.
some type of trauma.
Everyone has their own struggle.
You know?
I mean, you even see like these kids in the nice gated communities committing suicide, just because I mean they don't have the experience of living like in the lower socioeconomic status, but
Mhm.
they're still having
They
a
still
struggle.
have
And
their same issues. That's just
there's
as
some different kind of issue. Maybe their parents are working all the time and
Mhm.
they don't have anyone at home, even though they have all the money in the world.
Right,
You
right.
know,
Just as
no
important
family.
though.
Yeah.
Their issues is no bigger than the next person. It's
Mhm.
all it's all relative. So
Yeah.
for sure, man. But yeah, bro, this is kind of like this is our little spinoff to the
Yeah.
Dad podcast. We're gonna have sit downs, we're gonna have discussions, we're gonna kind of like a little low key therapy session, kind of like
Yeah.
dig within ourselves, and even we have guests, any topics you guys want to chime in on, and please don't hesitate, comment,
Leave a
tell us how
comment.
you feel about it. Any topics you guys would like us to address, that's what we're here for, man. We really want to just open it up to whoever, our purpose is to help at least somebody out there, that may
Yeah.
be experiencing some type of a difficult time in their life.
Mm.
We want to be able to help you guys. So this is what the Dad Podcast is about. Down and diligent. My boy Q
Yeah.
came through. He's gonna be back.
Sir.
He's our guy. He's a dad, man. He's
Yeah.
different part of
All
different
dad.
walks of life, but
Different
he's
kind of
definitely a dad, and he's definitely a part of the Dad Podcast. So
Thank you, sir.
thanks again, man, for coming through, man. We've been
I'll do
talking
that.
about it, and I'm glad that we were able to sit down and really discuss. And I appreciate you being able to share my story too, because I really don't really talk about
man,
it.
you
man.
got stories for
Yeah,
days,
I got a lot, man. It's a lot of stuff that we went through, but
I want to keep going.
yeah, yeah, man. We got
Thanks,
some
man.
more coming, some more stories, some more situations, and man, please keep tuning in, like, subscribe, and it's Dad Podcast. We out.